Hey everyone, Professor Jacob Richter here. Welcome to Technical Writing to English 3140. It is summer 2021. This video is intended to showcase our syllabus and to go over how the course will work. So welcome to Technical Writing. I'm really excited to get started with you all. I've taught technical writing for a couple of years now. It's actually probably my favorite class to teach. And I actually love teaching it asynchronously, and I love teaching it online. But anyways, so I'm just going to go over the syllabus, I'm going to go over Canvas, I'm going to go over Slack, and I'm going to go over our weekly modules. So basically this is your overview of how the class will work. It's going to be a little bit bare bones just because I don't want you all to have to listen to a 20-minute video. So it's going to be a little bit rough around the edges. It's more or less just an overview. But if you have specific questions, the most important thing is that you know that number one, I want to help you, and that number two, if you have questions, you can always get into contact with me. I'm pretty good on email. You'll see my email right here is jdrich@g.clemson.edu. So I'm pretty good on email. Go ahead and email me or message me on Slack. But the point is that know that even though an online asynchronous course can be a little bit confusing at times, I am here, I'm around, I'll be around all summer. If you want help, I'm happy to help on really anything at all. So if something's confusing to you, something technical, I can help with that, or something logistical. But also if you need help on a project, if you need help, say with like a technology that we're going to be using, I'm certainly happy and willing and excited to do all of that. So you'll see my information here. My name's Jacob D. Richter. Email, as I mentioned, is jdrich@g.clemson.edu. Don't forget that G. My office hours will be in Zoom. You'll see the link right here. Just click that link on your syllabus. And they are Tuesdays from 11 to 12:30, as well as Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. And we can always meet by appointment. So our course goals are pretty straightforward, but also there's a lot here. So I recommend that you read through the syllabus in detail. But basically, technical writing is the study of communication across difference. So we're really going to spend a lot of time unpacking that very general statement. Technical writers respond to communication challenges with flexible, imaginative, perceptive, and carefully considered communication solutions. So this course strives to nurture technical communicators who are able to assess audiences, publics, interfaces, exigencies, problems, solutions, and challenges, and who are able to tailor messages for the unique demands of complex, changing, and dynamic rhetorical situations. So at the close of this course, students will prove capable of communicating to vast and narrow audiences, of tailoring a variety of messages to serve a multitude of purposes, of assembling writing and multimedia productions that serve the needs of users while accounting for technical, cultural, social, and linguistic differences, and finally, of responding to the cultural, political, and technological challenges that technical communicators will strive to address in the 21st century. So there's a lot there. But that first sentence, technical writing is the study of communication across difference, is going to be the sentence that our entire semester orients around. You're going to become experts at communicating across difference, and that means differences across culture, across language, across technical capacity, across gender, across race, across disability, across difference of all sorts. So go ahead and read our technical writing course description right here. I'm not going to go through it. But as far as the logistics and the logistical details of the course, you don't need to buy a textbook. You don't need to spend any money outside of tuition and whatnot. For this course, we're using an online open access textbook, so it's called Open Technical Communication. I've used this a number of times teaching this course in the past. It's really simple and really easy to use. You'll see that it's linked right here. But anyways, you don't need to buy anything. We'll use a variety of free open educational resources throughout the semester. If you did want to buy a hard copy of the book, you can. That's your option. It's only $10 on the website. You'll find it linked right here in your syllabus. But most of us will be fine just using the free open access digital version. So you don't have to spend any money. We do have some other readings. They're all linked here that we'll read throughout the semester. We don't take computer and internet access for granted. So if you're having hardware, software, or internet issues, please get in touch with me. I can help you. I can find a way to make that or to resolve that problem. Go ahead and read our learning outcomes. I really try to stick to these learning outcomes, and they become a big part of the course. Our first learning outcome is rhetorical knowledge. Our second is comprehension. Our third, and this is my favorite, is application. Fourth, analysis. Fifth is practice. And finally, the final is evaluation. And I'm very interested in you being able to evaluate your own technical communication artifacts and work that you produce. So you'll see that our semester and the grading procedures are pretty straightforward. Projects 1 through 4 are all worth 15% of your grade. That's the job application, the 2 routine weeks of technical communication, the technical instructions, an infographic design project. Then finally, your final project for the course, which you have a little bit more time, about 10 days to complete, is the social media's technical communication and social justice project. That's 20% of your final grade. And then finally, Slack participation, which we'll talk about in just a moment, is 20% of your final grade. So you'll see my office hours are right in this link. Just click that and it'll open up a Zoom call, and that's where I will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So please come on in. You don't always need to have a reason. We can just go pop into office hours to talk and get to know each other, or we can go over course projects. But anyway, so the course moves on a Tuesday to Tuesday sequence, meaning that our 5 weeks essentially run from Tuesday at 5 p.m. until the following Tuesday at 5 p.m. So at 5:01 p.m. you'll get a message in Canvas, or an announcement in Canvas, that has your module for the forthcoming week. And so at 5:01 p.m. on every Tuesday for the next 5 weeks, expect that. And that's when projects are due at 5 p.m. So it's going to be pretty straightforward. We won't deviate from that schedule at all. I'm big on consistency, and I'm big on students being able to have firm and clear and tangible expectations for the schedule. But anyway, so email is the best way to reach me. Slack channels are the Slack message feature is great too, but email is usually the best. I check my email frequently. On weekends, I may not check it immediately or every day, but on weekdays, I'll typically always respond to you within 3 hours, sometimes even faster. So email me at jdrich.g.clemson.edu. As far as due dates and extensions, all projects are due at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. In Canvas, you'll submit every major project or every project in Canvas. With that being said, if you need an extension on a project, you will always receive it. You don't need an excuse. You don't need a reason. We are in a pandemic, and I ground my teaching in care and in trust and in honesty. You don't need a reason. If you're going to be late, just let me know. Just send me an email and say, hey, Professor Richter, I need a little bit extra time on my project. No project will be marked late unless it is not turned in at all throughout the semester. All projects do have to be in by the final day of the summer semester, which I believe is June 18th. But you should look that up. It's correct on the syllabus. But anyways, you don't need an excuse. I will be very accommodating with due dates. This course does value flexibility. I value giving you all flexibility with your schedule. I know you're all going through a lot this summer. So just have all of the projects in by the final due date, by the June 18th, I believe, and you'll be in good shape. But most of you, I'd imagine, will get everything in on the suggested due date. Anyways, so we're going to use 2 learning management systems. Those will be Canvas and Slack. You'll see our Canvas page is pretty simple and straightforward. You should have Technical Writing Summer 2021 on your Canvas page. Pretty straightforward. Look for an announcement at 5:01 p.m. every week. That's how I'll generally get in touch with you all. You'll see that assignments are listed right here. Every assignment is already preloaded into Canvas with correct due dates. We will not add any assignments. We will not add any projects. We will not change project due dates. We will not change anything at all. It will stay consistent. Your grades are right here. I'm not going to click that tab because you don't have any grades yet, but I don't want you to see other people's stuff. You can see other options here. Course evaluations, where you'll do course evaluations at the end of the summer. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Back to the syllabus. We'll talk about Slack in just a moment because that's slightly more complex. But if you're worried about Slack, you can see the video that I've made specifically on Slack. Don't plagiarize. Don't violate Clemson's academic dishonesty policies. The Writing Center is available to you if you are having trouble writing. I would say get in touch with them. They will meet with you virtually online. The inclusion statement is something you all should read over right here. Very important. Student accessibility services are available to you. And if you are disabled or facing a physical difficulty or a mental difficulty, you should get in touch with student accessibility services. They are a lot of help and will hopefully be able to help you to complete this course successfully. Definitely read over our Title IX sexual harassment statement. There will be no toleration of sexual harassment in this course online at all. You should know that I'm a mandated reporter for Clemson University. As far as the grading policy, you should read through this. This essentially tries to be as descriptive and as straightforward and as analytic as possible about how you will be graded. All of you will leave with one of these grades at the end of the semester. I grade based upon what you earn rather than marking you down based on what you don't have. You'll see that you have an overview of all of your major assignments for the semester. We have 5 major assignments for 5 weeks of the course. Read over those. They might change just a little bit. I'm essentially going to give you a little bit more guidance than these short little blurbs, but all of them will generally stay consistent. And then finally, the final part of the syllabus just goes over our schedule once again, as well as our actual schedule. You'll see we'll generally stick to these, to the course schedule. Nothing here will really change. I might sometimes, on occasion, delete a reading. So for example, in week 1, I realized I gave you guys way too much reading, so I deleted this reading right here. So on the weekly module, Sarah Beth Hopton's article doesn't appear. We will read that over the course of the summer, but I'm just pushing it back a little bit. But for the most part, I won't add any assignments or readings. But basically, each week you have a primary reading, a secondary reading, and those will all be linked on the weekly module as well as on the course schedule. And then you'll have Slack, where you have to write a paragraph or you have to write 6 sentences or the equivalent, multimodal participation. Or finally, and then finally you have a project each week. So for week 1, that's the job application, professional documents as technical communication. But anyway, so you have the course schedule right here, so you know what's coming. We will possibly leave some room for flexibility here, but I won't add anything. Any major projects are still are never going to change, and I'm not going to really add anything. It would only be potentially deleting something. So you'll see that this is our assignment this is a weekly module. The weekly module is really important. Every Tuesday at 5:01 p.m. you'll have one of these in your inbox in Canvas and emailed to your Clemson email account. The weekly module is basically where I will tell you what is going on for the week, what the expectations are. The weekly module is where everything starts and everything begins. You will see that the first week, I promise, is going to be a little bit longer of a normal module. 4 pages is quite a lot, but the module is just meant to be my way to communicate to you. It's a broadcast style, so it's basically just a overview of the week. So I like to number them, or in this case, letter them. So for week 1, read the course syllabus. You have your primary and secondary readings. Then you have a video to watch. You have to join the Slack channel, and more on that in just a moment. And then finally, you have the final the project for week 1, which is the job application, which is due Tuesday, May 18th at 5 p.m. So that's how the weekly modules will work. They just give an overview of what's going on in the class for that week. So pretty straightforward, and they always link to the week's final project. So in this case, this is the job application project. All of this is loaded in Canvas. It's all in Slack, but it's also linked from the weekly module. The weekly module is where you should start and end really most of what you do. But anyways, that's pretty straightforward, and you all are fully capable of understanding that. I went over the Canvas shell, so you should be in good shape there. The projects, the weekly modules. The last thing that I want to go over, and again, if you have any questions, if you're struggling, if you're lost, this can be very confusing. I'm not kidding myself when I say that it can be a little bit confusing to take a class like this one where we're trying to do a lot. We're trying to pack a lot into only 5 weeks. So if you're having issues, if you're having trouble, if you're confused, if you're lost, or if you just want to talk about anything at all, you can always email me, jdrich@g.clemson.edu. You can always send me a Slack message, which is right here in Slack. And then finally, you can always just pop into office hours on a Tuesday or a Thursday. But anyways, so the last thing we have to go over is Slack. So Slack is a social network. You should see if you're having trouble with Slack, you should see the video that I've made specifically for Slack. But anyways, it creates an internal network. It's kind of like a Facebook group almost. Think of it that way. But instead of using like a boring message board to connect, to share, to get to know one another, to talk and discuss, we're going to use Slack. Slack is used in a lot of businesses. We're going to use it as a place to write together. So every week, so 5 weeks total, you're going to log into Slack. You're going to create a profile. You'll see I've made my profile. Make your name whatever you want your name to be. You can add a pronoun if you want to add a pronoun. You can change your photo if you want to have a photo. Of course, having a photo is not required. Don't feel pressured to do that. You can make it your fun pet, your cat or your dog, if you want. But anyways, so Slack is pretty straightforward. Each week you're going to type 6 sentences using one of what I call modes of participation. So the modes of participation are just ways that you participate. I explain it right here in text, but I might decide this week I'm going to teach the class something. So I'm going to explain an important concept, an important idea, a term, a phenomenon, or a perspective to my classmates. I'm going to write 6 sentences using that teach hashtag. And I'm going to always end my Slack post with a question. So I can ask a question to my peers as part of our learning community. Slack is going to be our learning community. And I'll be involved on Slack as well. But anyways, you will end with a question for your peers. What do you think? What do you think is kind of a boring question, but you'll maybe ask one a little bit more detailed or with a little bit more content. You're going to ask a question, and then you're going to go through and respond to 2 other people's questions that they've asked in Slack. And then finally, you're going to respond to 2 responses that you got on your own original question. So just remember that number 2. Respond to 2 other people's questions, and then respond to 2 comments that you've received on your own original post. So for instance, you're going to find week 1, you're going to find week 2, find week 3, and those will correspond to the weeks of the course. So pretty straightforward. You can choose the different modes of participation. You can change it up each week, or you can do the same. They're pretty straightforward. These are meant to mimic social media behaviors. So you can record a short video if you wanted to. You could comment on the conversation as it's happening. You can reflect upon a reading. You can create a meme. You can take a poll for the class in some way that is important for our learning goals that week. Stick to technical writing. Stick to communication. Stick to course projects. Stick to course content if you can. And then finally, definitely take a moment to read through this guidelines for Slack participation document that's linked in Canvas, and that's also in Slack. This is basically a rules document. No sexist, racist, or offensive or misogynistic comments or writing. Pretty obvious stuff. Hopefully we don't need to go over this in too much depth, but it's important that we at least mention it. Please be respectful. Please be kind. Please be generous to your classmates. This is still Clemson University property, the Slack channel is, and so you're obviously governed by university policies. Hopefully that's not an issue, but it does come up from time to time, so just be cognizant of who you're speaking to and how you're speaking to them. And when I say speaking, I mean writing. But anyways, so that should be the syllabus, that should be Canvas, and that should be the Slack channel. The most important thing is that you know how to contact me, jdrich@g.clemson.edu. My office hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays in Zoom. And if you have any questions, reach out, and I'd be happy to get in touch with you and to talk. So thanks for listening to this video. Definitely check out the other videos that will explain other components of the course. But this is the bare bones, very simple, very straightforward version. So thanks.